All right, here we are again. Welcome. From what I hear, we got a game in a couple days, a real one, so that's exciting. Home opener, expansion team. We've even done that before, but hopefully this one ends differently than the one did last year. We're really excited about this year. We're really excited. Thank you all for coming. We are delighted to be here. Beautiful day to be down here back at CenturyLink. Excited to get another season started. We had 3 months off. Felt like an eternity after the 6-week off seasons we've gotten used to. So hopefully we can play a long time this year. And to be fair, we'd probably get a 3-month off season because they've shortened the season now. But we're rested. We're ready. We're healthy. Knock on wood immediately, but we're ready to get after it, ready to come out of the gates. We feel really good about this group. We've played at a 1.8 points per game pace for the last 18 months, and so that's 60 points a season, and we feel like we are ready. So we're very excited to go out and get this thing and contend from day one.
Chris?
Yeah, we've had 11 preseasons here in Seattle, and as a former player, I can tell you the players are happy preseason is over, and we're playing a game that counts. I don't want to speak for Nico, but I think the team is raring to go and leave off where we left in the regular season last year. We have a very good team. We're excited for the year, and we want to have it start out very well with 2 games at home. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys all on the field in a couple hours.
All right, with that, we'll turn it over to you guys for questions. Please raise your hands. We'll get to everybody and follow up some more. I think I saw you first, so by all means, go for it.
Michelle Mendoza, Salem Radio Group, Sports Time Out. Just an analysis of preseason and what we might see Saturday that might look a little different.
Analysis of preseason. Well, I do agree that with Chris that the players are tired of the coaches. Coaches might be tired of the players too. You never know. But the analysis of preseason is it was a senior group. There weren't a ton of new faces. Obviously, we signed Saad. You know, some of the younger guys have one more year of experience and might push the senior guys a little bit more. But in our preseason, there's really just a couple of objectives. And the number one objective is always the physical component. You know, you start with that with a full week of, training. We were down in Orange County. You bump that up a little bit, and you want to get some good games, some quality games during the second phase of your preseason. And I think we accomplished those goals. I had also discussed that we wanted to get the first team on a Saturday rhythm. I think we accomplished that. Obviously, Nico had to play a few more minutes against his former team, but he was fit enough to play Wednesday, Saturday. That's okay for him. But for the rest of the group, we wanted to make sure that the group that's starting tomorrow, on Saturday, is prepared in the right way. Now, having said that, it is a team that has been playing together. And so I didn't feel that there was any surprises that came out of preseason. The influx of Jordan back into the group, that was not challenging. I think Jordan's been around the guys. I think they all know him. When Nico first came, I think they had a good relationship in 2016 and parts of 2017. So the integration of Jordan went smoothly. So really all we were dealing with was, I'll throw it out there, was just some of the void that we lost with Clint and Ozzy. So how did we replace those two? It came from a combination of, again, a senior group. There's lots of guys within the locker room that can come in and fill those voids, but those are certainly talking points, how we do this season, missing 2 very good players. So personally, I'm excited for the game on Saturday, and I have high expectations for the game.
Go to Jeff Baker next.
Hi, this is for Garth. Garth, it seems like there are a lot of teams, especially in the Eastern Conference this year, that are in the process of continuing rebuilding plans or have embarked on a rebuilding, retooling plan, whatever you want to call it. I'm thinking of Dallas, especially Vancouver. I'm wondering what you make of the landscape compared to previous years, and also how you've managed to avoid taking that kind of a rebuilding step backward per se and missing the playoffs, and basically how you think you've managed to kind of do that on the fly?
Yeah, look, I mean, look, we kind of did this in 2017, you know, when, and I know we've described that as a slow start, but the fact is we changed 11 players off a championship team, and you've heard us talk a lot about how we felt like we had to do that, and we had some really difficult conversations with some guys that had literally just helped us win the title, and but we reset the team, and you know, a lot of credit goes to the coaching staff that they were able to kind of get us through that period, you know, and then we were able to add Kelvin and Victor in the summer and head back to the final. So we did do it, you know, and we went through a little bit of a rough period there at the beginning, which is what happens when you change that many players. And but we were able to keep it together. And look, the key to anything like this is culture. And if you have the right culture amongst the staff, and I'm talking first team staff, academy staff, USL, then you're going to have a common set of values. And if you're always kind of resetting to that, then hopefully it allows you to kind of take a pretty consistent, contiguous view and you know, incrementally move forward year over year after year. And, you know, as I said, we've been pretty good for the last 18 months once we got our team set. And look, likewise, we're at a mature point in our cycle. You know, we have a lot of veteran guys here that have done it before, just like Coach Schmetzer alluded to. And we need to win now. We need to win the title. And look, you start out every year saying that, but this is a team that's how we set the team up. We believe we have a real chance to contend for the title this year, as I said, from day one. And in terms of the West, I think a lot of teams in the West are better. I mean, the Vancouver, they've changed, I think, 20 players. So, I mean, they're certainly trying to get better. I'll say that. With Coach Almeida down in San Jose, I mean, that's almost like they took a DP coach, somebody that we know because we played against them in Chivas in the Champions League. The guy's had a ton of success in Mexico. I mean, literally winning the Champions League. So he's going to make them better. You know, Houston is such a young group. I think that they'll be a little bit better another year in with them getting Champions League experience. You look at what Peter Vermees has done with Kansas City. I think that team's even deeper than it was a year ago. So, look, I mean, it's not going to be easy. It never is. LAFC is clearly going to be better because the expansion teams are almost always better in year two. Galaxy's got a new GM, new coach. I mean, everyone, it's a constant race, and that's the business, and that makes it exciting. And, you know, that's why we're ready to start playing some games that mean something and hopefully start racking up some points.
Go to Jaime next.
Okay. Last year, we asked you if there was room to fill in when Jordan Morris was injured. And you said at the time that was not necessary because we had enough players at the moment. You know how the story went last year. So I ask you a similar question. Do you think there is room for another designated player this year? And if so, where would it be? Where would it go?
It's a great question. And so one thing I do want to clarify, though, is we have 3 DPs. Victor Rodriguez is a designated player right now. There's not one day has gone by where we have not had 3 DPs since I've been here. I think since the Sounders have been around. So we do have 3 DPs. Look, the challenge is how do we get players better than that? You know, and Victor is a very good player. So you have to exceed that, first of all. Second, you know, when you look at our team, when you look at the starting 11, certainly we want to give Jordan a chance, and the coaching staff has used him pretty consistently as a right wing, and it's starting to look pretty good already. And so, yeah, we have been probably deliberate about if we're going to bring in another DP, this is a 3 to 5 year commitment. You know, this isn't one that you can adjust around a 2-month trend or guys coming off an injury. You got to get it right. And the market, there's simply more designated players available in the summer because that's when most other leagues end. That's when we got Raul. It's when we got Nico. And those guys are the cornerstones, the franchise players we have. And so if we're going to get that third franchise player, we got to get it in the right spot. We got to get it at the right age. And we got to get it at the right time. And so we're going to be actively pursuing that player. But I couldn't tell you right now it's going to be at this spot, you know, in this location because, again, I think we're pretty solid all over the field, and there isn't an answer that jumps out at you and says, you know, you got to have this. So then, look, hopefully that's a good thing. But, yeah, look, I think you'll see us add 1 or 2 more over the course, not 2 DPs because unlike the Galaxy, we're only allowed 3. But I'm kidding. But, you know, I think we have the ability to add, you know, potentially 2 more pretty good players over the course of the season. So we're just going to be deliberate and strategic in how we do it because, again, we think the guys here are pretty darn good.
Go to Jeremiah.
Yeah, Nico, you hear some of the stuff that Garth said. There is a sense that this is kind of the mature part of the cycle. Does it feel like there's more pressure this year? How would you describe the pressure going into this season, or how would you describe even your mood going into a season where you don't have like a World Cup waiting for you in the summer?
Sí, ya sientes que como el equipo es más maduro, hay más presión para empezar esta temporada que en las otras. Y si sientes pues que como también ya no hay la presión de que viene un mundial o viene algún campeonato importante en el medio año, si eso también pone un poco más de presión para tener una mejor performance en el año.
No, I mean the pressure is always the same because we want to win the cup, we want to win the championship, always the same. So for me this year in the personal is maybe the pressure is easy because I don't have the World Cup, but I have the American Cup. But now I want to sing only in Sunday because I need to play good soccer here for then the national team call me. So it's the pressure I have always the same. I want to win every game. I want to win every cup for my team first. Then the second option is the national team. But my pressure is help the Thunder to be a great team this season.
Ari?
Yeah, Coach. Garth mentioned feeling like the team is set up to start strong out of the gate this season. This preseason, have you sort of used any kind of just no excuses type messaging as far as the team is healthy, no Champions League, long off season, there's no inherent reason why you shouldn't be able to shoot out of the gate and start the season off?
Messaging to the players, you mean, Ari? I think the messaging I use varies. So what we want to do is always set expectations. And the expectations of this club have been set way before I ever arrived in the club. Back in '74, the '80s, through the USL days, our debut in 2009 with the MLS team, expectations have always been high. That culture that Garth talked about earlier is fully embedded into everything that I discuss with the players. When you get guys like Nico that believe that they want to win, they take every game seriously. He actually takes every training game seriously. That helps with that sort of culture. So I don't threaten them with, okay, look, we've had a longer off season, so you guys should be better. What I challenge them with is, these are the expectations of the club. These are your own expectations. Let's see how high we can get. And I believe that messaging plus the culture that we have within the group of players that we've had is very important in realizing some of those goals. I will add to what Garth says. I think the West has improved. I mean, the East certainly, they won the championship last year, but the West has improved. It's getting harder and harder to be successful. That won't deter us. That's actually, again, you can add some of that messaging to the group. Hey, look, some of these teams are going to be better. So let's make sure we're raising the bar high enough that we can continue with what we are doing.
Art?
Brian, one of the few advantages of an earlier playoff exit is a longer offseason. Have you noticed, absent a real game yet, have you noticed a difference in both mentally and physically in the prep this season?
Yeah, I think it helped some of the guys come back from injury, like Chad, and Christian got dinged up that last Portland game. I think there's a physical component to that, and then the mental side is it's almost like they're a little hungrier. I almost get the sense that they were upset that we lost to our arch rival at home in a series that I believe that had we gotten past Portland, we had as good a shot as anybody against Sporting KC and making it into another final. I thought the team was playing at an extremely high level last year, towards the end of the year. I felt really confident that we could, again, push towards MLS Cup. So that off-season is almost feeding the hunger that they have to get back out on the field and start competing again.
Go to Nico.
Para Nico, tú te viste rodeado, o tu nombre fue puesto a varios rumores a lo largo de la pretemporada, y siempre la fanática se sentía preocupada y la presidencia obviamente siempre mostró que tú eres un pilar del equipo. ¿Qué tan importante es esa conexión con la comunidad, con el equipo, y qué pasa por tu mente cuando rumores de esa forma empiezan a surgir?
So, Nico, there were during the off season some rumors about you and things that you wanted to do on your next steps. How does that fit into your preparation for this coming season?
Siempre es bueno cuando hay muchos rumores acerca de uno, porque significa que uno está haciendo las cosas bien y que clubes se fijan en uno, siempre es importante en lo personal.
It's always good when there are rumors because that means that you're doing something good and people is looking at what you're doing.
Pero también es bueno cuando el equipo donde uno está lo protege y lo defiende y lo hace sentir importante, porque a uno también lo hace sentirse cómodo en el lugar en el que está.
But it's also very important when the club considers all the effort that one's put and protects the player and makes the player feel comfortable, because that helps us out focus on what we need to do.
Todas esas cosas a uno lo motivan y lo hacen más fuerte y lo hacen tener más ganas de nuevo desafío, de seguir demostrando que uno quiere seguir creciendo, que va por el camino y uno sabe que no se tiene que quedar.
All those things are definitely a motivation for us or for me to continue to improve, to continue to give everything that I have, so we can continue to evolve on our delivery.
Todas esas cosas uno la tiene que servir como motivación, saber que está en un lugar donde lo quieren. Solamente tengo que dedicarme a jugar y, como siempre lo digo, ayudar al equipo a conseguir grandes objetivos que me trajeron acá para eso, y espero cumplir con las expectativas.
So all those things serve to me as a motivation, the feeling that I know that the team values me and gives me all their support. Means that I can focus myself into providing all my support to the team and achieve the objectives of getting championships and things like that.
Go to Jackson here in the front row.
For Nico, last Wednesday after the Club Nacional match, we spoke about the connectedness between the team on the field, and you talked about how it needs to get a lot better over the next week and a half before the regular season opening against Cincinnati. So how is that progressing? How do you feel the connectedness is on the field right now between you and the first team guys?
Durante el último partido, cuando te entrevistamos, comentaste que todavía habían algunas mejoras que teníamos que hacer en la conectividad entre los jugadores. ¿Cómo sientes que en esos últimos días, entre el último partido y ahora que vamos a empezar, se ha mejorado esa conectividad entre los jugadores?
Now we feel ready. We feel ready for the weekend. So we are excited for the start because we worked a lot in this preseason. So now we are waiting the next game because we want to win. We know we have a good team. We train for this. So now we have a good communication with the team, with the senior players, young players. So we are excited for the next weekend. We want to start now.
Go to the second row, guys. They've been waiting patiently. We'll start with you, Stephen.
Coach, 13 games for your squad on short rest this year, 8 of those on the road. How big of a focus has that been in your preseason, and how do you plan to navigate it?
I looked at the schedule a long time ago, but thanks for reminding me. Look, I'm gonna go back to the old coach saying we're gonna take one game at a time. We're preparing for Cincinnati. What happens after? I think it's after 4 games of Saturday. I think our first midweek is in April. You probably know better than I. The squad has to evolve. We have to collect points at home. You know, our first road match, I think, is a winnable match. So I think we need to take care of business first before I even delve into the midweek games. Midweek games present challenges, but it's not like guys can't play 3 games in a week. We have many players on the squad that can do that. And then there will obviously be squad rotation. And that just speaks to the guys like Will Bruin, Harry Shipp, Roman. There's a bunch of guys on this team that have played significant minutes for us as starters. They are also probably coveted by other teams as starters for a different team. So I think we have the right pieces to kind of mix and match and make sure we get those midweek games correct.
Just go down the line here. Go to you, John.
Coaches, you start year 11, the first decade. How do you feel? You've made accomplishments and with the goals you set in year 1, and what are the goals you're looking forward to the next second decade of the club?
Well, I'm very proud of the success that we've had as a club. I know that that there's a promotion going on, and some of the guys from '09 are going to be in the stadium. I'm excited to see some of those guys. It's testament to all of the work that those guys started in '09. I mentioned even the '80s and the '70s and the '90s. This whole franchise, I'm proud to work for the organization. It's a dream job for me in many ways because I'm very, very fortunate. I feel very lucky that I have good support. I feel very fortunate that we have a good staff and good players. So for me, it's a really, really good job. What I'm most proud of, though, is that we have succeeded in trying to make this club really a connection between the players and the fans. That's the biggest thing for me coming from Seattle. I feel it every time we walk out on the stadium. The fans are there to support the players. The players care about what the fans think. That relationship is always the thing for me that, that Al and some of you guys started way back when, and I'm happy to continue it.
Harvey, straight on to you.
Coach, Jordan was talking to us about what the emotions of Saturday are going to be like for him after all that work to get back and get back on the pitch here at CenturyLink. For you as a coach, how do you try to guide a player to let that emotion inform their play, but also to remain level-headed and not get too wrapped up? What kind of balance do you try to have?
Each player is different, but the one consistent theme that I've always told players is, look, if you don't have butterfly, when you're standing there waiting for the kickoff, waiting for the referee to blow the whistles, and you don't have butterflies in your stomach, there's something wrong with you. Because it should be exciting. It should be. You should feel it. And then what happens is you use that kind of nervous energy. It turns into adrenaline, and it helps you actually perform better. That's the kind of narrative that I tell all the players, and certainly Jordan has heard it. You saw he was pretty emotional after even his substitute appearance against Nacional. And I think hopefully that's going to drive Jordan with that little extra bit of energy to perform well.
Maz, I'll come down to you here in the front row.
So, you guys have talked about, everybody up there, about the organization, the evolution of the players being really tight. And that's due to the organization. My question to you is, Garth, you and Brian and Chris Henderson really set that tone with Adrian. How do you guys balance that as a front office in terms of common goals, what Chris is trying to do and Brian, continually check in with each other and balance the team goals?
Look, I think it's a matter of having the right culture and working together. We talk about coaching staff, for example, is focused on winning the games, right? I mean, they got to win on the weekend, and the front office is probably focused with a little bit longer lens over months and transfer windows and things like that. But a decision's a good one if you get agreement between coaches and front office, because now you're satisfying both the short and the long term, and you have players then that you're bringing in that everybody believes in, and that gives the players the best chance to succeed because they're going to feel empowered because they feel supported by front office and coaching staff. And so I think it would be fair to accuse us or say that we're pretty deliberate in our decision making sometimes. But again, it's intentional, and we do it that way because we believe by working at it for a while, then sometimes we get good outcomes, and hopefully with those good outcomes, then it also allows us to get people of high character. And when you now have, we haven't said this out loud yet, but I mean, Nicolás Lodeiro is going to be our captain this year, and to have a person of his extraordinary character and work ethic is something truly meaningful for us as a club, and I think it's a great reflection of our culture. I want Nico representing the Sounders anywhere in the world, and I'm very, very proud to call him our captain, and the things that he embodies on and off the field with his character and his work ethic. He's a great player. There are lots of great players, but Nico's a great person, and we're really proud of that, and I think that's a sign of how we're going to go forward as a club.
You want to expand on that, Chris? You asked all of us, right, Maz?
Yeah, just to echo a little bit what Garth is saying, you know, we talk about culture, but for me, culture is little tiny things every day. And it might be a conversation with a player or a conversation with the coaches and players. And those little things create the culture that we have at the club. And I think that is important to continue, and that's where we talk about the history of the club, that every player coming in, every scout who works in our scouting department has to understand the culture, who we are, what we're looking for, the character of people we're looking for, not just as players, but people we're working with in the front office. And that communication that Garth talked about between the coaches, front office, players, that's really important to foster every day that we're improving and connecting with each other.
And to close out, Maz, what I would say is that, you know, nothing's perfect. We live in an imperfect world, so there's going to be times when we make mistakes, whether decision-making, my coaching decisions, players, nothing's perfect. But my personal standard that I set for myself, Garth's personal standard, Chris, his standard, Nico, the player's standard is very, very high. And I think when each of us hold ourselves accountable, it helps us with the culture that we're trying to build. We don't want players that their standards down here. We want people and players within our entire organization to have the same drive and motivation, and that's when you get a cohesive workplace.
Right here.
Bernardo Ruiz, El Siete Días newspaper. Brian, you mentioned the importance of the connection between the players and the fans. What tactical systems and styles of play are you going to expect the team to have at home during this season?
So right away from the outset, what we want to do is be a possession-based team, Bernardo. We want to make sure that we use the players in the right spots. My system has been 4-2-3-1. So that's the base formation. But as always, different players play each position a little bit different. I'll use Nico and Clint Dempsey. When Clint was playing as our number 10 versus when Nico plays our number 10, it switched the team around a little bit. So how do we kind of combine all the players that we have now? Nico's going to be our number 10. Jordan is going to play a little bit out wide, and he's going to stretch teams vertically. I want Victor to play in the pockets. I want Nico to play in the pockets so that we can actually activate our final third movements from guys that are in between the lines. I want our defenders, starting with our goalkeeper. I want us to try and play out of the back. I think we've been a good team that has been able to play from back to front to give Raul possession, to give Nico possession, to give Victor possession in the opponent's half of the field. I want to make sure that we continue to use our outside backs. I think that has been a big component ever since I took over. I think, you know, Brad Smith and Nuhu do a very good job of getting forward on the left side, and, you know, certainly Kelvin has been very good on the right. So how do we all mesh that together with individual game tactics for Cincinnati? I can't go into that because he's probably watching. But that's a general summary, possession-based team. I like to put pressure higher up the field. I like to play fast. You know, some of those things are always embedded in the individual tactics of each game.
Dave, thanks for waiting.
Coach, Damian's first full preseason with the organization. What does that change for his approach and your approach to this regular season, as opposed to you had that transition early in last year's preseason between Dave Tenney and Damian Rowe?
Yeah, that was a challenging time because Dave left for the Orlando Magic, and that was a success. We had a very successful person within our organization take a step up to the NBA, so that shows the quality of people that we have within our organization. Now we brought over a person that has EPL experience, that has done training at the highest level. Some would say the EPL is the top league in the world. Now, did that come with a couple of bumps in the road? Of course it did, because these guys were used to Dave. Dave was here for 7 years. So have they started to adjust to the way we train? Yes. Have we, as coaches, started to adjust with the way Damian wants to proceed on the physical, you know, performance of the group? Yes, we have. It's still a work in progress. We need to find the right balance of making sure that we as coaches get all the tactical instruction we can onto the field, as well as getting them physically prepared for the demands and the rigors of a long season. I think we're on our way. I think we'll still have a few bumps in the road, but I know these guys respect Damien, and Damien certainly has told me on many occasions that the American athlete, the athlete that he's dealing with, they're at a very high level.
I'll come to the back row in a second, but Jeremiah, I think you had a quick one.
Yeah, this one's for Chris. You're obviously facing FC Cincinnati this week. You went through a expansion team in 2009. What are some of the differences and challenges that are different between then and now in terms of how you build a team, how you start a team from scratch?
I mean, we were fortunate in 2009 because we had the USL team, so that helped the transition, being able to keep some of those players who knew the culture, knew the club, knew Brian as assistant coach. So that continuity really helped us. I think there are some big differences now with expansion and the resources they have to where compared to what we had in 2009. I think they have more money to work with. We pretty much had to build the team from the expansion draft and then add a few designated players. I think Freddie Junberg was important for us that first year. But the biggest thing for me was, bringing in the Taylor Graham and Zach Scott and Roger Levesque and the Sounders who kept the culture to all these new players we were trying to piece together. And you look at Cincinnati, and they had a team leading into this, so I think they tried to do some of the same things, signing some players early. We had signed Sananiasi and Latu early to help with that transition. So it'll be interesting to see how they do and how they go about it, but I'm always a little jealous because that startup was pretty fun to go through, and to see other teams do it is exciting.
Go to the back row next. We'll start with Matt and then hear from Andrew.
Brian, what went into the decision to make Nico captain, and how important is that role for you to kind of have somebody leading from the front in that way?
The decision to make a captain is certainly a big one. I think Nico has the respect of all the players, and it was a fairly easy decision for me to make. He had already been captain on numerous occasions when Ozzy was down. I know last year I had Roman as a captain. We flirted with Christian. Steph Fry certainly is a viable candidate, but Nico embodies a lot of the qualities that I feel are important to be captain. Now, I will give you a little story, what we've done now for this season. So we actually had the players, this was Jimmy Traore's input. So we had the players decide on a vice captain. So the players got to vote, and they got to choose. So it's their guy to help Nico with leadership within the group. That vice captain is Steph Fry. So I think that's important. And that's just an example of what I was talking about. Yes, we lost Ozzy, and he was a big part of the team. We lost Clint. But we have enough people to backfill those holes. You have guys like Gustav, Roman, Chad, Steph, Christian, who's becoming a very good young leader. We have enough guys, hopefully, to fill that void. And so, easy choice, easy for me to accept and see that Steph's a viable vice captain, and now we're just making sure that the entire leadership group feels like it's their team. We have meetings about the team rules. We've been going through with the 5 key players in the team. It's not my rules. It's not me as a coach saying, okay, these are my rules, you have to abide by them. They actually are making the rules about timeliness, tardiness, what happens if they miss practice, all of those things. So it's their rules, and then I just help enforce them. So those are some of the creative ways that we're helping Nico with the leadership of the group.
Go ahead, Andrew.
My question's for Garth. You got here in 2015. What have you seen from then up until now, just the evolution of the MLS, more investment in youth programs and expansion really across the league?
Simple terms, the league doubled the salary cap in 2016. So the level of the league has risen exponentially. It's been really dramatic, I think, especially over the last 2 years. And it's made it a really exciting place to work. I mean, we started our project of player development 3 years ago in 2016. And we've advanced the stage now where we've won a national championship. We have 20 kids on youth national teams, and we have restructured now such that there is no more separate USL as an entity. There's just player development and the first team. And tip of the cap, big tip of the cap to Mark Nichols, who's led that effort over the last 3 years. And he's doing everything for us off the field. Chris Little's doing everything for us on the field. And those guys have done a tremendous job with the talent we have, and we couldn't be more excited about the future. You know, we talked about this is the mature point in our cycle for our first group, but we're equally excited about what comes next. And you know, I would also like to say a big thank you to Coach Schmetzer and his staff here because, you know, this is different. This is not something that we've done before. And already last year, Brian embraced the young players and he brought them to preseason. And we kind of didn't have anybody that we thought was going to make it or we might sign or anything like that. And so it was still a nice gesture. This year, we've done it in a really meaningful session. I mean, you guys have seen, you know, 10 double-figure Academy Defiance kids in our entire preseason. You know, and Danny Leva playing next to Nicolás Lodeiro in midfield. And those kinds of experiences are just incredible. You know, and we have the ability, we have roster spots open where if those kids continue to perform over the course of the season with Defiance, you're going to see some of those kids sign to Sounders contracts going forward. And that means that we're going to have, from a depth perspective, we have really good veteran depth, I think, in that first group. To have now young, talented depth coming up and coming through, I think will really secure our future going forward as the league continues to grow and grow and grow. And look, it's just a really dynamic time to be in soccer. I mean, when we get the World Cup in 2026, and you know, let's all work together to try to get Seattle as a host city here. I mean, that's something that would be an incredible boon to all of us, and to this great city. And you know, that World Cup is going to be a seminal moment in soccer, and it's a potential launching pad for many, many things. And so that's a lot of the reason why MLS is doing this. I mean, we're not going to be content with being a middle-tier league. We're going to try to be one of the best leagues in the world, and you see that, too, in terms of our involvement in the player market, the global player market. Our commissioner said we're going to be involved in this global player market for the first time, proactively seeking to do that, reversing 20 years of history. And literally this transfer window, we had more dollar figures coming into the league in terms of revenue for player sales than we had in the entire history of MLS before now. So when you talk about how the landscape is shifting, how it's evolving, that's a big part of how are we going to catch these big leagues. We're going to take proceeds from player sales. We're going to pump it back into the system. We're going to use those resources to continue to increase our player quality, and we mean it. We're going to try to be one of the best leagues in the world. And you know, people I think have laughed at that inside for a while, and I'm telling you, the ambition is there. The ambition's here in Seattle, but the ambition is here league-wide to try to make this the best league we can. And look, when we signed Nico, no one had ever signed a playmaker from South America from the best team in South America before. And Nico took a leap of faith and came to join us. But then after him came Almiron, and it seems like every year now we have Pity Martinez, who's the South American Player of the Year, going to join Atlanta. So it seems like every transfer window you break some new barrier of some player that would never have come before, and now he's here. So look, it's a great place to work right now. It's a lot of fun, and when you incorporate these young players and you look at their futures and their paths and their progressions, that's something that makes us really excited about the future as well.
I'm going to go to Mickey, and then we'll take a few follow-ups if we have time.
Thanks. This is for Coach Schmetzer. Garth talked a little bit about the youth coming in and having a bit more of an impact in preseason. What did you see from last year to this year as far as their progression goes? And obviously, looking forward, what are you hoping to see from them down in Defiance as they get more experience?
Yeah, there was improvement from last year to this year. Some of the similarities were that I enjoyed watching the young kids interact with some of the older veteran guys. I think that was always key. What I noticed was a little bit of change in, you know, Azriel, Ray Serrano, some of the kids that we had last year already to this year. There was a little bit of increase in their play. Their level of tactical awareness, Certainly their speed of play was a little bit better. They still have to grow in their bodies. We still have to understand they're 15, 16, 17-year-old kids. So on the physical side, there still were some deficiencies. But look, at some point in time, we're going to take that leap of faith. We're going to sign a young kid. We're going to develop kids because that's just our sport. That's what happens in all other places in the world. So why shouldn't we do it? Why shouldn't an Azriel or a Leiva or a Serrano, why shouldn't they get a chance? Ocampo, we need to have that happen. So for me, I want to make sure that we don't push them if they're not ready. I want to push their development. So Chris and Mark and his staff, they need to make sure that they're pushing. And then my job is to make sure that they get chances with the first team in training, as well as the games down in Tacoma. And then we'll see if we can't get a couple on the roster.
Okay, we'll take a couple follow-ups and then get some of you guys out here for kickoff downstairs. So, yeah, Maz.
This one is for Nico. And what kind of a leader will he be? And through all his, the stage he's been on, there's been other leaders that he admires or has influenced him.
Que con esta nueva, con la capitanía, ¿qué tipo de líder esperas ser? Y si durante toda tu carrera hay algún líder que al que tú admiras, que quisieras emular.
I want to be a good leader, but inside the locker room, inside the field, outside the field, in my life. So I want to show for the young players or the senior player my best things. So I don't have one leader.
That I admire. Que admiro.
And this.
I don't have one particular leader that I admire.
I learned about a lot of leaders in all my career, like Boca, Corinthians, Ajax. So I have a lot of experience. So I want to show for my team. So I want to help my teammates. Inside the field, inside the locker room, everywhere I want to show a good example. This is my role. And the fan too, I want to show I'm Nico, I want to be a good player but a good person first.
Yep.
The community, he's embraced the Seattle community, going to Seahawks and things like that. How much is that important for him to be in the community?
¿Qué tan importante es para ti ser parte de la comunidad que te has mostrado yendo a partir de los Seahawks?
Everything. Now Seattle is my life. I'm happy here with the fun, with the people. In everywhere the people say, "Hey Nico, I love you." So this is a good thing for me. So I'm very happy here. So I want to show my best because the fans deserve a good team.
Take one or two more. Nico Moreno, are you good?
Yeah.
You have one?
Yeah. Okay.
Go. Yep.
Chris, and then if Garth want to expand, the team hasn't really done like a big splash move, but maybe they did a couple of underrated ones, like signing two key players to long-term contracts, like Christian and Jordan. Now you've been able to see them over the preseason. How comfortable are you with that decision, and how important are those two players for the team now and in the future?
Yeah, Christian and Jordan are really important for our club. I think you look at Jordan's decision when he was going to sign with us. He went to Germany, tried out, made the decision to commit to Seattle, which is a big statement for our club. And I think now is an opportunity for Jordan coming back from his injury to continue to improve, hopefully stay in the national team pool with the new coach, and Christian as well. Christian is a player that just keeps improving and getting better. So those go along with the start of our club in '09, which I need to mention Casey Keller because he was a huge part of that club. So I apologize, Casey, but having people like that who understand the club and the history of the club are very important for us. And I think they're a huge part of the core of the club and who we're going to be going forward.